Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. We are the Women's Council of Realtors, Collin County, where our purpose is to create leaders in the real estate industry. As it says in our mission statement, we are a network of successful realtors advancing women as business leaders in the industry and in the communities we serve. The Women's Council of Realtors organization is recognized as the voice for women in real estate and the premier source for the development of leaders in the industry, organized real estate, and beyond. Our show today is powered by The Difference, and that's kind of our mantra. We are here to make the difference. My name is Carrie Dahlman, and I am the current events director for Collin County Network. And my co-host today is JC Pitt of Pitt Realty, who is the current first vice president. Today, we have the honor and privilege of speaking with Joe Corcoran from the Richardson City Council. He's a Richardson City Council member for Place 4. He was recently elected to the Richardson City Council in May of 2021, and he sits on the Retail and Audit Committees for City Council and is a member of the Richardson Community Revitalization Awards Committee. I met Joe through the Richardson Chamber a while back, and I've been looking forward to having him on our show. So thank you, Joe, so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We're looking forward to hearing your stories and see what drives you in your business. How is everybody today?
Hey, doing great.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm doing wonderful.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, let's see. Like you mentioned, I was recently elected to Richardson City Council. I grew up here in Richardson. My family lived in Spring Park. I went to Berkner High School, Apollo High School. I went to Texas Tech, so I have 2 master's degrees from Lubbock, which, as you can imagine, was a huge change from DFW going out there. But then I was just really happy when I had an opportunity to move back here. And, you know, there's some things I really love about the city, right? I love the nightlife, love all the stuff you can do, all the different parks, the green out here. But there's some things that I don't get, right? And that's the mountains. So my biggest hobby is going out to Colorado once, twice, 3 times a year and hiking 14,000-foot mountains.
Wow.
Summiting.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We're mountain people too. I would take a mountain vacation well over a vacation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's something really satisfying about summiting. It doesn't have to be 14,000 feet, right? It can be 8,000, 4,000, whatever. But getting to the top, so satisfying.
Yep, I hear you. So tell us what's going on in the city of Richardson.
Yeah, well, as you guys may have seen, all the bond propositions recently passed. So that's huge. I mean, that's a lot of money that is going to be available over the next 5-10 years for roads, infrastructure, improvements to public facilities. And really what I'm looking forward to now is finding ways to put that money to use, specifically refurbishing and revitalizing a lot of the streets in what we call the innovation district, and a lot of the facilities and sort of smaller streets in what we call the core district. So that's going to be on the east side of Richardson. There's a sort of a central, huge industrial area. If you look at any map, you can see it, right? It's where all the residential streets end. And then our core is really our downtown on both sides of 75. So really the key now, and kind of my work in the retail committee, we're going to be looking at during the pandemic, right? So for these 2 areas, during the pandemic, we implemented a lot of COVID protocols for retail businesses that loosened restrictions. So now that things are tightening back up a little bit, our task is to see, hey, which of these business-friendly protocols that we implemented can we just keep in place? And what did we implement in one area that we can maybe extend to another area? So that's, in a nutshell, kind of at least from my point of view and my objectives, especially regarding real estate, commercial real estate, my objective going forward for the next couple of years. Oh, Carrie, I don't think I can.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. Yeah.
Is there anything, any big retail coming in that we need to know about ahead of time? You got any?
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys go to sports bars. I do. I love it. I play fantasy every year. Ace's Sports Hangar is coming up, and that's actually I think that's actually in Collin County. That's going to be up there at the Cityline area. So I hear they have great music. I hear that they have a lot of, it's just a very new, fun facility that is kind of new and unique in that area. So definitely check that out for sure. And then of course, everyone is really excited about Greenville Avenue Pizza Company, which has come up. Yeah. So that's, I had a really good friend of mine who went to the soft opening for that and said that it's amazing. And this guy is a gluten-free guy. So for him to say that Greenville Avenue Pizza Company is amazing, that speaks volumes. But yeah, two great retail areas coming in.
That's awesome. I do love the Cityline area. That place is just the neatest area down there.
It's beautiful.
Well, yeah.
And it's a great example of mixed use, right? I mean, I've always said, anytime you put apartments in and try to mingle it with businesses and get all of that together, I mean, really, if you're going to build density with apartments, you have to put it in with mixed use. And Cityline is truly a successful case study in that. And it's walkable. I mean, you can live in an apartment there, work in State Farm, and walk to any of those restaurants. And if you live in one of the surrounding neighborhoods, you can walk or bike there too. It's what, 15-minute walk, a 5-minute bike. I mean, it's fantastic. You don't always get that, right? You don't always get that with apartments.
I know my husband, well, I didn't know much about Richardson when I first moved here. Well, I'm a native Texan, but I moved back to Collin County back in 98. And we were more in the Frisco area, Frisco, Little Elm area. So I didn't really go there very often, except my husband played hockey there. So he plays at the Star Center there. Oh, yeah. We would literally drive down 75. We'd get on Spring Valley, go to the hockey rink, and drive right back out. That was all of Richardson I knew. And then when I started doing real estate, I got, I sold houses in Richardson. And the more that I would drive through there, I'm like, these are the greatest neighborhoods. Yeah. And then so much, even since then, so much has changed down there. Like the landscape of Richardson has changed so much in the last 5 years. There's so many new things and so much going in down there.
Yeah. Well, hey, I like to hear that you go with your husband and watch him play hockey. That's good.
Every week.
Every week. That is awesome.
I'll sit in there I am supportive. Yep.
Yeah. Well, me too, Joe. Carrie and I had that in common. My little boy plays hockey, and I've been to that rink as well. And I think we go again in a couple of weeks. But yeah, we're really glad there's a variety of rinks around the area, and that's really cool. So I'm going to definitely try out that Greenville.
Yeah, the Greenville pizza. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. Thanks for letting us know about that.
Yeah,
there were so many good restaurants coming in there.
Yeah, and it's really nice for the neighborhoods nearby too, because if you look at the map of the west side of Beltline and Main Street in the middle of Richardson, it's surrounded by a lot of neighborhoods that it really is walkable or bikeable to these different areas, which is nice because Greenville Avenue Pizza Company also serves alcohol at every restaurant in that shopping center. So, being able to walk there, that's key.
Yes, it is.
Pretty much after COVID, everybody has to serve alcohol because nobody wants to eat anywhere that doesn't serve alcohol.
Well, yeah, it's true. So,
especially after COVID.
Well,
Absolutely.
And the housing values are around there. I had several clients that hung on to their older homes so they could rent them and with plans on moving back because they knew the market was going to increase with all the new shops and things would increase the value of the homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's, and it's always that's really almost the challenge for us on council as well and in city leadership too is, really taking the benefit of the rising home values and finding ways to make sure that people with fixed incomes can still stay in their homes. Right. And and I mean, it sounds kind of minor, but I think part of that is getting good retail nearby to reduce driving distances for a lot of these people, especially with gas prices the way they are now. If you can go grocery shopping or you can go to the movies, you don't have to drive 10 miles to do it. I mean, that's a substantial cost savings.
Right. If you can keep from having to get on 75, that's great.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
that's also good for just keeping the time back in your life, right?
Right. And that's
Well,
how.
and 75 doesn't cost you yet.
Yeah, that's
Right.
Will it ever? Please, Joe, help us keep it toll
Costs you
free.
2 hours of your life every day.
Yeah, it's definitely, man, it really has grown down there.
Yeah.
So, can you tell us about any local organizations that you work with? Are there any charities in Richardson that you really are passionate about?
Yeah, so it's actually, this is actually good. There's a ton. I mean, oh my, I don't even know where to start, right? So the first big one that we have, of course, and I think everyone who lives in Richardson probably knows about it, is the Network of Community Ministries.
Mhm.
That is and the city actually puts and donates, or I'd say gives, a lot of money to the network because they provide so many vital social services, and they do it better than we could do as a city. So they help with everything from job seeking assistance, rent assistance, obviously, food. I mean, it's primarily in fact a food pantry, but they help with clothing. So that's a really good one right there. I would also say that let me think. So then, in addition, we have ICNA, which is similar. It's the Islamic community group, and they provide a food pantry as well. It's not in Richardson, but it's certainly accessible and nearby. I think it's in Garland for a lot of our residents. And then also, and I'm actually pretty well versed on this now because I've had a couple residents who need help with rent or clothing or food come to me, especially with a lot of the rent assistance programs winding down. And, for a lot of people have gotten good help, but some people still need the assistance. So those two groups are really helpful. I'd also say there are a lot of, if someone needs help, right, or if someone is looking to help with the charity, there are a lot of local churches around that provide one-off services independently in Richardson. And so, that's always a good place to look, whether you're religious or not. Their goal is to help you. So, in addition to that, gosh, we have Shriners, Rotary. We have 2 Rotary clubs, Shriners. We have a Lions Club in town. So, we have a lot of those stereotypical bread and butter organizations that have been around forever. They know the drill and they know how to help people.
Right.
That's great.
Are there any food drives or anything coming up for the holiday season that you know of?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there are. Richardson Police, the Richardson Police Academy Alumni Association always does sort of food drive sort of things. I'm sure there's stuff with Santa's Village, and again, a lot of the local churches. And you can always, whether it doesn't matter if it's the holidays or not, right? You can always take food, drop it off at the new network facility on 1500 International Parkway, and it doesn't matter if it's Christmas, Easter, Thanksgiving, whatever. They always take food, but of course, especially for all the big holiday meals, I can see where you're going with this. This is the time to donate for sure.
So, is it because you grew up in Richardson that you have such a passion for the city of Richardson, or is there something else that drives your passion for Richardson?
Oh gosh, yeah, no, so to start off with, I have a passion for serving in general, right? I know that, Texas is the greatest state in the United States, but there's still a lot of places we can improve. And so what better place to do that than your hometown, right? I moved back from college. I was 25 years old, and I did the whole nightlife scene, all the, the fun, kind of having a good time for yourself. And it is a good time, but it's not fulfilling, right? Giving back, that's what's fulfilling. And so for me, I had the chance to move back to Richardson. I was here for a couple of years, and I had this urge to give back, right? And I saw there's just something I saw with the mayor and what the city staff, what they were trying to do with those areas that I mentioned earlier in y'all's show, core district and the innovation district, bringing small businesses in, bringing startups in, really revitalizing a lot of that. And I thought that my background in corporate compliance, my 2 business degrees, and my background working for a startup that ended up going public, all that stuff would be a huge asset on council.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I ran. Now that I'm on, I find that every decision, it's kind of what you're getting at, Gary, it does have a little bit of a personal significance. I mean, as a kid, I snuck out. I mean, I sound like such a rambunctious person, I guess. As a kid in high school, I mean, I snuck out and went to Richardson Square Mall, right? And stuff like that. And so, I was the one who was biking up and down Jupiter and all these other streets here and swimming in the Heights Rec Center. So for me, I mean, every decision is a little bit more personal and it's a little bit more impactful, right? When you grew up here. So I mean, Richardson, my love for Richardson is not entirely why I ran, but it certainly is the impetus and makes this job as fulfilling as it is.
Right. I hear that. That's one thing that really I liked about the Women's Council of Realtors was that you do spend so much time in the community and, trying to educate the community, try to educate other realtors, try to, just make a difference in the lives of the communities that we live in and that we serve in. And I'm like you, I have a servant's heart. And, when I worked at Bank of America, we had ample opportunities for volunteering. I mean, we could pull up the calendar and every day there was something you could do. And then when I got out of the corporate world, it wasn't quite so organized. And I kind of had a hard time figuring out, who I needed to talk to get in here, or who do I get how can I go back to that level of service that I was doing. And so since I've been on the Women's Council, I think I've done more volunteering in the last probably 6 to 8 months than I've done since I got my license in 2018. Just because there's so many more opportunities that you don't even know about.
Y'all, doesn't it? I mean, it must be kind of weird. Like, for me, right? This is a little bit of a passion project. It's not what I do every day. My normal day job is corporate compliance, and I'm good at it and it pays the bills, but it's not exciting.
Yeah.
So for y'all, I mean, y'all are doing your volunteer work through your jobs.
Yes.
Right? It's a little bit of a different story. How do you guys? I mean, I don't mean to turn the script on you. I don't know if that's allowed or not.
No, please do.
I mean,
Open for it.
how do you guys find the time or the passion to put essentially 20 extra hours or however many extra hours a week into what your career already is?
You just have to get up earlier.
Yes. Stay up later.
Get up earlier, work on the weekends. You just like today, I had my day was stacked up so much and probably not all of it is real estate. Some of it is this, some of it is personal things. Some of it is work. Some of it's, networking. I mean, there's just so much to, I mean, I love having a servant's heart, and I don't begrudge that at all. But sometimes, you just get to where you're just like, oh my God, I do have to work.
Yes.
I'll say it all the time. If I can make a living being a volunteer, I would, that's where I'd be the happiest.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Working for other people.
Give it back. Yeah.
Meals on Wheels. I'd be wheeling meals every day.
And it's kind of funny to think about it, but I mean, so for everyone who's listening, Perry, where we met is that morning event, the morning networking session with the chamber in Richardson. And that is, you have to be there by 7:30, right?
7:15,
7:15, 30. I mean, so that means you're up by 6:45. You want to get a workout in that day, you're up by 5:30.
Yes.
That's exactly right. Wednesdays are tough because I live in McKinney, so I drive to Richardson.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to get up at like 6 o'clock. When you get older, there's a whole lot more to do. I can't get up at 6:45 and be out the door.
Oh my gosh.
The fact that you're there probably helps with that too.
Yeah. My husband is like that. He can get out the door quick. He has no hair.
Men, I know, right? So my husband shaves his head too.
Uh-huh.
I think
really?
your husband does too, right, Gary? I don't know. Anyway, I so envy him. He doesn't need all the products I have to buy for hair, and he can get 10 minutes and out the door. I'm like,
out the door. Yep.
Yes.
A bar of soap and a bottle of cologne.
Yes.
Yeah, he calls it his redneck refresher.
Redneck refresher. That's great.
Spray some cologne on and out the door.
I brought a pen and paper just for stuff like this.
Note to self.
So do you have a family?
I actually not here in town. they all moved down to the San Antonio area, Bernie, Texas, a while back, and I have some sisters who've moved to Seattle and DC.
Oh,
But
wow.
you know, my heart is still here, right? And I think that's part of the reason I actually decided now was a good time to run. Yeah, the city could use my skill set now, but also, I mean, certainly I know how I am, and once I'm married, once I have kids running around, I'm going to want to put so much time into that. Combined so that, it's a good time in my life to do this.
Yeah.
Combined with COVID and me sitting around at home, having months to prepare and very little social interaction,
Right.
it was really, I mean, timing is everything, right? And you guys know that in real estate,
Oh, yeah.
timing is everything, and in life it's everything. And this is the right time in my life to do it, precisely because I don't have the obligation. That said, I am a bachelor, so
I was just going to say, all the listeners out there.
Oh, let everybody know. All you ladies.
Eligible bachelor.
That is my cell phone that I put in the contact info. Yes, I give it to every constituent, but if you don't have to live in Richardson, I'm willing to drive up to McKinney.
We'll do matchmaking. We're
going to start a new section of our show.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, hold on. Don't change the whole script just because of this one fact, all right?
So how can the Women's Council of Realtors help the city of Richardson?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. I'm so used to asking how I can help other people. I'll tell you what, now, do y'all do purely residential or do y'all do commercial?
We have some commercial, we do.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure we can do both, right? With residential, I mean, I would say, man, I can think of so many ways to help. I'm just trying to narrow them down in my mind. The first thing that comes to mind, though, I mean, we all know that the real estate market is hot, and I don't know if you guys have any issues selling homes, if there's anything that your clients want, but please, I mean, you don't have to live in Richardson. If there's something that your clients are asking for constantly, forward that on to me. I had a realtor the other day who lives out in Tarrant County, but she said that Richardson specifically, a lot of her clients from California want accessory dwelling units in the back, right? The mother-in-law suite. And that's the kind of stuff I want to hear about so that I can start kind of putting together a case for any major zoning changes, if not this term, next term, or the term later. I'd also say if any of y'all are driving around Richardson and you notice potential code violations, whether it's someone's lawn, house, send that over to me, someone else on council, or our code or community relations department who oversees code enforcement. That's, again, the kind of stuff that helps us do our job and helps y'all do your job.
Right. Just keep an eye on the city.
Yeah.
We're in and out of there all the time. I'm in and out of Richardson all the time.
I mean, quite frankly, I mean, I can't be everywhere in the city at all times. No one on council can. Our code department can't, but you guys can, right? And that's really helpful. I'd say on the commercial side, if there's a business that needs help finding space that you think would be good for Richardson, or if there's a company that is looking to expand, I mean, again, if you guys, maybe you guys don't have the time or you don't have the ability, or for whatever reason, to help them out in finding a space, or you just want help, let me know. I mean, my job is to help facilitate that business coming to Richardson.
Okay.
And so I did this for a small arts company that unfortunately we didn't have the right space in Richardson for them. But I mean, I was happy to hop in on a Saturday afternoon. I drove to about 4 or 5 locations and help them scout it out, right? Just because that's my job. So that's what that gives me fulfillment. So please, I'm happy to help in any way in that sense, but I can't help you unless you let me know what I can help with.
Right.
That makes sense.
The mother-in-law suite thing, that would be great.
Really? Okay.
There's a lot of places that won't allow it. And for a while, I live in Plano, and I had a client that had plenty of space to build that in his backyard, but the city wouldn't allow it. But now I think they have lifted that since Plano is aging. So yeah, mother-in-law suite, huge. Or grandma cottage, she shed, whatever you want to call it, man cave, whatever you want to call it.
Your mother-in-law doesn't actually have to live there. That's just what we call it.
Right. We could call it the doghouse. We could call it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the kind of thing that it's again, I'm very pro people being able to do, for whatever reasonable extent, what they want with their property. And if, that's also the kind of thing that it's a little bit, those zoning laws were made 40, 50 years ago.
Right.
And, I can't just go off of, my realtor friend out in Euless, Texas told me that they want ADUs. I mean, I need a little bit more data, so to speak, to be able to present that to my fellow council members and our city staff and really develop a solid case. So anything like that, right? Again, ADUs are a great example, Stacey, but anything, you guys just send it over to me so I can at least start saying, hey, I have these 10 or 5 or whatever realtors. They've all said they want this. And I'll sell them, right? So
I will say one thing I wanted to say was there are a lot of families moving here that are multi-generation families.
Yes.
Tons of them. And they're all moving from different places. And they need their mother-in-law or their other half of their family, whoever's moving in with them, to have their own space. To have the privacy where, you go to your space and I go to my space. It's not just my room, but a room with a kitchen where I can cook my own meals and I can do my own thing over here, wash my own laundry. And then you have the rest of the family over here. That's been one of the biggest things that I have had requests for this year, was just people that need better single family, multi-generational housing.
Right.
If that is a thing, if that makes sense.
And no, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
The challenge on the other end is one of the other big issues that, or I'd say complaints that I get coming in, is on-street parking, right? And especially with some of the proliferation of rental homes or maybe multi-generational homes, we have a lot more, especially in these neighborhoods that we talked about, around the Heights area, Northridge, and here. We have a lot of smaller homes with more people living in them that have a lot of cars on street. And so I think the issue that we're facing is, what's the balance? By adding essentially the capacity for a house to have an extra individual living in it, how do we address the on-street parking concerns that make with it, right? And but again, that's a discussion that we can't even begin to have if we're not having people bring those issues to us and saying this is something that we'd like to see. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that I definitely like to see. I mean, to y'all's point, something that I'd like to see happen, but I'd love it if
there's a whole lot that goes into it. I understand that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we gotta get the grandma stop driving.
Right. Well,
grandma needs to stop driving, grandpa, and we can have car sharing, or if we have such walkability, they don't need a car.
Right. I mean, sell that car that they're going to drive 2 times a year anyway.
Yeah.
Take the $15,000 and put it into that mother-in-law suite, right?
Yes. Right. Because to get a multi-generational home up north or wherever you can get new construction is so expensive.
Right.
So if they could actually live closer, in Richardson and be able to build that for, like you said, a lot less, that would be huge. Yeah.
Well, and we could always do the ordinance in a way that they have to have, at least starting out, right? They have to have some sort of on property parking,
right?
That goes with it that can accommodate, cars somewhere. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly, like I mentioned, it's very complex when you actually break it down into the individual parts of the zoning code. That doesn't mean that it's something we shouldn't pursue.
Right. Well, some areas it may not be workable.
Right, no doubt.
Rear parking, it'd be a lot easier. But if it's front and then you're going to park on the street, like you said, that's really a problem because you can't get emergency vehicles down those streets when everyone's parked on both sides. So.
Well, and that is something else that we, or at least that I'm hearing too, is that, whenever we have on-street parking and it clogs up the street, I mean, for some of the people who are homebound for whatever reason, they can't get things like groceries delivered.
Delivery, yeah.
And that's a challenge too. But on-street parking is a whole other issue.
I'll mess with my Amazon deliveries.
Oh yeah, of course.
Can
Oh,
you
man.
see Carrie out there in her older age?
What?
Get your car out of
No.
my way. My Amazon delivery is coming.
My Amazon
This is a
delivery is
trick.
coming. My Amazon
In
guy
your grandma's suite.
I am never going to say I'm envisioning any woman in her older age. That's a trap. I know it. I'm not doing it.
Her and I can get away with it because she's
Yeah,
I can get
I
away
would say it about myself. Just don't you say it.
I always pick on Carrie, but
Hey,
she just makes it so fun. So
well, she's very good natured for sure.
Yeah.
see, I'm a lot older than her, so I can do that.
I don't know that you're that much older than me. I think we're probably about the same age.
I don't know. We'll have to talk about that off air.
Off air. Wait till I log off again.
Yeah.
Call in the middle of anything.
So
So, okay.
we would love to have you come to one of our events sometime.
Yeah, that would
Hey,
be
let me
great.
know. I'm
I'll
happy
definitely
to.
email you the next time because we're installing our new leadership team, which JC and I are both on in
Oh, good.
December. So when January rolls around, we're really going to hit it hard to try to reconnect with all of our members and grow our membership so that we can help more people and educate more people. Because that's one thing with COVID, for 2 years,
Mhm.
it's hard to pay to be a member of something when you can't go to meetings. There are no events. You can't go anywhere. You can't talk to anybody. You just sit on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
So this year, one of our biggest goals is to grow our membership, to reconnect with our old membership that kind of fell off because of COVID. And so we're going to try to really hit it hard this next year. And if anybody
I'd love
out
to
there,
show up.
what's that?
So I'd love to show up and I'd love to advertise it. Whatever you guys need my help on that, you let me know.
Okay.
Golf, top golf, bowling. What else do we do, Carrie?
Some
Maybe we can put them
lots of networking events planned.
on the ice.
We have a whole calendar.
Carrie and I don't skate. Well, I don't skate. Do you skate, Carrie? Yeah. So
No, only if somebody's holding me up.
we can cheer for the stars, though.
Yeah, I will cheer for you playing hockey, skating all day long, but I'm not getting out there.
You know what? We should have a networking event down there at where they're building up, all of the nightlife. We could have a networking event down there.
Yeah, we could.
In Richardson or by the Stars? By
No.
American Airlines? Oh, Richardson.
In
Okay,
Richardson,
good.
yeah.
Like here.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do
See,
it.
then you wouldn't have to drive very far. You could walk home.
Oh, well. Yeah. Hey, we'll see if it gets that crazy. I don't know how y'all are yet.
JC and I went to a convention or a conference back in October, and we roomed together, and we had the best time. Our room was like Grand Central Station. We had so much fun.
I'm sure y'all hosted everyone coming in and out, the before party, the after party.
Yeah,
sounds like a good time.
Until we got sleepy, then we were like, okay, everybody out. We got
all right.
You
can stay out. You can't stay here.
I have one final question, and it's just kind of a random question.
Yeah, what's up?
Do you watch Parks and Rec?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so you know what this city council chamber looks like and how the meetings go and all that. And every time I hear the word city council, that's all I can think of. So how is it really in a city council chamber when you're having a meeting?
It's really interesting. I mean, I think, keep in mind, I've only been on 7 months, right? And this is my first and only time to ever do something like this. It's really interesting. So when you're on the dais, when you're actually there in front of people coming in requesting zoning changes or discussing other issues, what's interesting is you don't know what other people are really thinking unless they verbalize it. Now I can look over and see the notes that the mayor is writing or the notes that Councilmember Ken Hutchenrider are writing because they sit beside me. Besides that, I really don't know what other people are going to say or what they're thinking. And so it is a really interesting and almost a little bit more, at least in my impression, almost tense, but not in a bad way, sort of dynamic when you're there. Now, when you're in the work session beforehand, which is something that I think if you're going to tune into a city council meeting, you have to watch the work session and then the council meeting. The work session, we're arranged in a little bit more of a horseshoe sort of setup. You can kind of see people's nonverbal cues and what they're writing down, how they react to the presentation a lot better than you can when we're lined up side by side. And when you can do that, you really get a lot more comfortable. You get a sense of what people are thinking. and it's a little bit more of a freewheeling conversation. So I think for me, I mean, and again, maybe it's just a factor that I'm still my first term and just my first year in my first term. I still feel a little bit tense when I'm in that council chamber. That makes sense. But, you know, even when we go into things like executive session, right, which is, for those who don't know, that's where we discuss something sensitive and it's closed to the public. The conversations there are substantially more freewheeling than even a formal work session. Mm-hmm. And there, I mean, it's a legitimate conversation where it's just probably like y'all's like not like a happy hour. That's the terrible way to put it. But it's like, it's just like a lunch with your friends, kind of, where everyone's talking with each other, over each other, tossing ideas around, and that's really fascinating because we are so frank with each other in those meetings, and we can have very passionate disagreements, probably more passionate because we're not on camera, quite frankly. Right. That you really get to test at the end of that, you know, what are the bonds that we've developed on council, and how strong are they? And it's always just so comforting leaving a meeting like that. And this is where it differs from Parks and Rec, right? You know, Leslie Knope and that dentist, I forget his name. It's Jeremy, right? Yeah, they get in a disagreement, and you know, they hate each other. They hate each other on the dais and off the dais. We get in a passionate disagreement, and we've had plenty of them in these executive sessions, but we come out of it and we're unified, we're friends, and we have a very high level of respect for each other. So in that way, it's completely different than you see in Parks and Rec. And I think we should all be grateful for that.
Yes. I would hate to think that my city was being run by Leslie Knope, Jeremy Jam.
Oh, I know. Right. And it's really, I mean, I think the public may see a lot of 4-3 votes so far with me and the mayor, but I tell you what, it's a testament to his leadership, truly, that we come out of those meetings and we all are friends, right? Even if we've had a disagreement. So I have to say, for my first term for this, I'm very grateful that he is our mayor and that I have the chance to learn under him.
That's awesome. That's good. That's what you want, is to be able to have somebody that you can look up to, respect, and learn from, because that's what's going to make you a better city council person, and whatever else, you know, you may be mayor in a few years, or you may.
Hey, don't spread that rumor, okay?
No, for mayor.
It's good to learn from people that actually have a vested interest in the same, you know, ideology that you do. So that's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
I cannot thank you. Go ahead. No. No, I was just saying it's refreshing. I would hope that it's refreshing to people to know that whatever happens in other places in the country, your extremely local politicians, your city council, that we get along just fine. And that you care about the city.
And we care about the city, right?
Because it's not a paid position. I don't know if everybody knows that, but it's not a paid position. Really. I mean, you have to work harder.
Yeah.
I mean, I get $100 a meeting, and I typically spend that on gas and taking people out to lunch with their thoughts and things like that, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, so you're not in it for the money, for sure.
No, you're
absolutely not.
Putting in your time and giving back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do what we do on this camera. We all do it for the same reasons, because we love to give back.
Right.
Yeah, we love to help people and love to give back. That's exactly right.
Well, and it really helps us to know more about, you know, people like you that are on the city council, and to have a casual conversation to get to know you like this means a lot. And it helps us understand how it works, and your passion, and it's been an honor to have you on here. So
yes, definitely. We cannot thank you enough for being on here with us today. And you know, if something comes up and you decide you want to come sit on our show, we do it every Wednesday from 1 to 2. So or 1 to whenever we get done talking, or Lyndon doesn't let us go past 2 o'clock.
Oh, really? Okay.
He has had to shut us up before, because we get get too many people on here and we get to giggling and we have too much fun. But
I tell you all what, I think something, and not to bore your audience with zoning discussions, right? But I think something that might be really interesting is, once maybe later next year, once we wrap stuff up with retail committee and some of these zoning things I talked about, I think it'd be really interesting for people who listen to your show, and they might actually be a little more relevant, for them to hear some of the changes that we're planning on making.
Yeah.
right? And some of the things, I mean, that's relevant to them. That's something they can sell. Y'all can sell to your clients, certainly, and just fun to know about.
Definitely. Well, we're going to keep in contact because I want to, stay in contact with you and get you to some of our meetings so you can meet some of these single realtors we've got.
Yes, we need to find some of these cute girls.
All right. I'll make a note here. Stay single throughout the holidays.
Until you meet all the girls in Women's Council. That's right.
That's fine.
Right.
All right, guys.
Well, thank you
Thank you
so much. Have a great day. Thank you for everything that you do. And thank you so much for being on our show today. We really, really appreciate it. We can't wait to see you again.
I can't wait to see you all again too. Have a great week, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Joe.
Bye. All right. Well, that wraps up our show for the day. He was our main event. So I wanted to thank everybody for watching and listening and taking the time. And JC, thanks for co-hosting with me. It's always fun. And thank you to The Difference for hosting our show and keeping us on track and in line and where we're supposed to be. So I hope everybody has a great day. JC, do you have anything to add?
No, I think we're doing good except for the installation. That's the only event we have coming up. If you need information about it, you can call or email either of us and we can get you the invite. And there's going to be an auction. It's more of a holiday theme. So December the 1st, that's the first day of December, to maybe do a little shopping easily.
Yeah. We will have a silent auction. And for those of you who don't know what an installation is, basically we are installing the 2022 officer leadership team for the Women's Council of Collin County. So that's what we're doing that day. So if anybody's interested in tickets, you can go to Eventbrite, look at Women's Council of Realtors Collin County and get you a ticket and you can come see what it's all about.
We'd love to have them.
Yeah. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.